I stared blankly at the calendar, my heart racing as the date of Emma's work trip drew nearer. It was supposed to be a simple 3-day conference in a nearby city, but a gnawing feeling in the pit of my stomach told me that there was more to it than she was letting on. Emma had been my partner for nearly 5 years, and while I trusted her implicitly, the last few months had seen her become increasingly distant, her phone constantly buzzing with notifications she'd quickly silence whenever I walked into the room. "Are you excited for the conference?" I had asked her over breakfast that morning. "Yeah, it'll be good to network," she replied, not looking up from her phone. She seemed preoccupied, tapping away at the screen with a focus that felt foreign to me. I tried to dismiss the unsettling thoughts creeping into my mind. Surely I was just being paranoid? Emma had always been dedicated to her job, and I couldn't deny that she had been working hard to make this trip a success. Yet, as I watched her prepare, packing her suitcase with care, I felt an anxiety that I couldn't shake. "Do you want me to drive you to the airport?" I offered, hoping to spend a few extra moments together before she left. "No, it's okay. I'll just take a cab. I want to get there early to settle in before the others arrive." Her words felt dismissive, a subtle indication that she didn't want to linger. I tried to smile, but it faltered as I realized she hadn't even mentioned who was attending the conference with her. The thought of her being alone with colleagues I didn't know stirred a deep-seated unease within me. As she kissed me goodbye, I caught a glimpse of her reflection in the hallway mirror. She looked radiant, her hair perfectly styled and her professional outfit flattering her figure in all the right ways. I felt a pang of longing and pride, but it was quickly overshadowed by a fear I couldn't articulate. "Have fun," I said, forcing a cheerful tone. "Thanks. I'll be back soon," she replied, a smile flashing across her face before she stepped out the door. The moment she left, the house felt too quiet. I paced around the living room, fighting the urge to pick up my phone and text her. Instead, I decided to distract myself by cleaning the house and watching a few episodes of my favorite show. But with each tick of the clock, I became more restless. Later that evening, I was curled up on the couch, lost in thought when I heard my phone buzz. I glanced at the screen. Emma's name lit up in bright letters. "Hey. Just wanted to let you know I made it to the hotel. Everything's good here," she texted. I felt a wave of relief wash over me, but it was short-lived. Something in her tone felt off, as if she was trying too hard to reassure me. I replied, asking about her plans for the evening. "I think we're going out for dinner with some co-workers." "I'll text you later," she replied almost instantly. Dinner with co-workers. I couldn't help but wonder who these co-workers were. I felt a familiar ache of jealousy creeping in, one I had worked hard to push down in our relationship. That night, I tried to focus on my hobbies, but I found my mind drifting back to Emma and her colleagues. As I lay in bed, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was missing something crucial, something she hadn't told me. I grabbed my phone again and scrolled through social media, trying to distract myself, when I stumbled upon a post from one of Emma's co-workers. "Excited for our work trip. Can't wait to catch up with the team and explore the city," the caption read, accompanied by a group photo that included Emma, laughing and smiling, surrounded by a group of men I didn't recognize. My heart sank. The laughter in the photo felt foreign, and suddenly I was gripped by a wave of paranoia. Was I overreacting, or was there something more to this trip? I couldn't ignore the questions flooding my mind. What if Emma wasn't just networking? What if this was more than a simple work trip? I tossed and turned, the doubts swirling like a storm in my head. I had always prided myself on being trusting, but tonight, that trust felt like a fragile glass that could shatter at any moment. As I stared at the ceiling, I knew I had to get to the bottom of it. But how? As the hours passed and sleep evaded me, I made a decision. I would find out the truth. Chapter 2, The Unexpected Discovery. The next day crawled by, the clock's hands moving agonizingly slow. I spent the morning at work, but my mind was a jumbled mess of thoughts about Emma. I replayed our last conversations over and over, dissecting every word, every gesture. It was a typical Friday, yet I felt a weight pressing down on my chest, making it hard to breathe. During lunch, I decided to confront my feelings head on. I called my friend Mike, hoping he could provide some perspective. He picked up on the second ring. "Hey, man. What's up?" he said, his cheerful tone grating against my nerves. "Not much. Just, trying to figure some things out," I replied, trying to sound casual. "Sounds ominous. You want to talk about it?" I hesitated. Did I really want to air my insecurities? But I needed to unload this burden. It's about Emma. She's at this work trip, and I can't shake this feeling that something isn't right. "What do you mean?" "Just. I don't know. She's been acting different lately, and I found this photo of her at the conference, all smiles with some guys I don't know. It's got me feeling paranoid." "Bro, it's a work trip. People are friendly. She's probably just trying to fit in with her co-workers," Mike replied, sounding more optimistic than I felt. I know. But what if it's more than that? What if she's cheating?" he finished for me. The word hung in the air, heavy and loaded. "Yeah. I mean, I don't think she would, but what if? Listen, you need to trust her. If you keep second-guessing everything, you'll drive yourself crazy," he advised, though I could tell he was trying to downplay my concerns. After our conversation, I felt slightly better, but it didn't solve the nagging feeling in my gut. I spent the rest of the workday distracted, waiting for the clock to hit 5 so I could head home. When I finally did, I was ready to put my plan into action. I had decided to dig deeper into Emma's social media. I knew it was a breach of trust, but my paranoia outweighed my moral compass. After all, if she was being unfaithful, shouldn't I know? As soon as I got home, I opened my laptop and pulled up her Instagram. I began scrolling through her recent posts, searching for any clues that might confirm my fears. It felt wrong, but the urge to uncover the truth pushed me forward. I found more photos from the conference, some of her with colleagues at dinner, and others at various conference events. Each image depicted laughter and camaraderie, but the ones that caught my eye were the tagged photos from a bar they visited the first night. One photo stood out, Emma laughing with a tall man, his arm casually draped around her shoulders. A wave of anger and betrayal washed over me. I zoomed in, trying to analyze their expressions. Was there something more than friendship there? Frustrated, I clicked on the man's profile, and my heart dropped. His posts were filled with pictures of him and Emma from the trip, dinner outings, drinks at the bar, and even a silly selfie that looked like they were having the time of their lives. I felt sick. It wasn't just the photos, it was the realization that they had shared moments that I hadn't been a part of. I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself. I couldn't jump to conclusions based on a few pictures, could I? Maybe they were just close colleagues. But as I scrolled through more posts, I noticed the comments from other co-workers, playfully teasing them about being the new power couple. I slammed my laptop shut, feeling the heat rise in my cheeks. The more I uncovered, the more the gnawing feeling of betrayal took root. I needed to confront Emma, but how could I do that without sounding accusatory or paranoid? I spent the rest of the night wrestling with my thoughts, replaying how I would approach the conversation. Finally, I decided to text her. "Hey, how's the trip going? Any interesting stories?" I sent, trying to keep my tone light, though my heart raced with every passing second. Her response came a few minutes later, "It's going well. Just finished up at a dinner with the team. Lots of networking. I miss you." "Miss you too. How's everyone?" You having fun? Yeah. Just some work stuff. I'll tell you all about it when I get back. The casual tone of her messages only deepened my doubts. I could tell she was trying to keep it light, but her avoidance of specifics felt deliberate. I knew I had to wait until she returned to discuss this in person. The next day, I found myself in an emotional whirlwind. I went through the motions of the weekend, but every moment felt overshadowed by what I had discovered. I played it cool, keeping my distance from friends and family, burying myself in distraction as I awaited her return. When Monday finally rolled around, the weight of anticipation felt unbearable. I told myself I would keep calm, but I knew that when I saw her, I would need to confront the truth. As the hours dragged on, I mentally rehearsed what I wanted to say. Would I be able to voice my concerns without sounding insecure? Would she take me seriously, or would she brush it off as paranoia? I took a deep breath, hoping I was wrong and that everything would go back to the way it used to be. But deep down, I feared that whatever truth awaited me might change everything. Chapter 3, The Confrontation. The day of Emma's return felt like a ticking time bomb, each hour amplifying the anxiety coiling in my gut. I had spent the morning pacing around the house, cleaning things I had no real intention of using, and fidgeting with my phone as I waited for the time to pass. Every little sound, every creak of the floorboards, heightened my anticipation. Would she come home with a smile, or would I see something in her eyes that would confirm my worst fears? As the clock struck 6, I made my way to the front window, peering outside for any sign of her cab. I watched the street, heart pounding with each car that drove past. When I finally saw the familiar yellow taxi pull up, a rush of adrenaline surged through me. I wiped my palms on my jeans, attempting to calm myself, but it did little to quell the whirlwind inside. The door swung open, and Emma stepped out, her suitcase in hand, her face brightening when she caught sight of me. "I'm back," she exclaimed, a genuine smile spreading across her face that melted a bit of my anxiety. "Welcome home," I said, forcing a smile in return. I stepped outside to help her with her bag, but as I grabbed the handle, I noticed her body language shift slightly. She seemed a bit tense, as if she sensed the storm brewing beneath my calm facade. "How was the trip?" I asked, trying to keep my tone light. "It was great. Really productive," she replied, her voice tinged with enthusiasm. "I met some fantastic people, and the sessions were really informative." "Sounds fun," I said, trying to sound genuinely interested. "What did you guys do after the conference?" "Oh, just the usual dinners and networking," she answered, a hint of evasiveness creeping into her tone. "You know how it goes." I nodded, but inside, a red flag waved. I could feel the tension mounting as we made our way inside. I set her suitcase down and turned to face her, my heart racing. It was time. "Emma, can we talk?" I asked, my voice steady despite the storm in my chest. "Of course." "What's up?" she replied, her smile faltering slightly. I took a deep breath, searching for the right words. "I've been feeling a little uneasy about your trip," I began cautiously. "I saw some photos on social media, and I couldn't help but feel." "I don't know," concerned. Her expression shifted, the lightness in her eyes dimming. "What photos?" she asked, a cautious edge creeping into her voice. "The ones from the bar, the ones with the guys," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "You looked really happy, Emma, and it just made me wonder how well you know them." She opened her mouth to respond but then paused, a mix of surprise and defensiveness flashing across her face. "I'm not sure what you're implying," she replied, her tone tightening. "I'm not implying anything. I just want to understand what happened," I said, frustration bubbling to the surface. "You didn't mention these guys before you left, and now I'm seeing all these pictures of you out having drinks." It makes me feel like there's something you're not telling me. Emma's face turned pale, and I could see her processing my words. They're just co-workers, she said, her voice firmer now, but I could hear the strain behind it. We were just having fun, and it's part of networking. Having fun or flirting? It's hard to tell from the pictures, I shot back, unable to keep the edge out of my voice. Are you serious right now? I can't believe you're accusing me of something like that, she snapped, her anger flaring. I'm not accusing you. I'm just trying to understand why you didn't mention them. I raised my hands in frustration, feeling like I was losing control. Maybe because I didn't think it was important, she yelled back, her eyes narrowing. It's a work trip, not a vacation. I didn't think I needed to give you a play-by-play. Not important? Emma, you looked cozy with that guy. I've never seen you like that with someone else. I blurted, my voice rising. Cozy? We were just having drinks. You're being ridiculous, she shot back, her voice sharp. A heavy silence fell between us, the air thick with tension. I could see her chest rising and falling, and the hurt in her eyes stung more than I expected. Look, she said, her tone softening slightly. I get that you're worried, but you have to trust me. I would never cheat on you. I want to believe you, Emma. I really do. But this trip has just raised so many questions for me, I admitted, my voice quieter now. I didn't do anything wrong, she said, her tone pleading. You're letting your insecurities get the best of you. I love you, and you know that. Then why didn't you share more about your trip? It feels like there's a part of your life that I'm not a part of, I countered, my heart aching at the thought. I thought I was keeping you updated. I didn't think you'd react this way. I'm sorry if I made you feel left out, but please don't jump to conclusions, she replied, her frustration melting into vulnerability. I took a step back, realizing the damage my accusations were causing. I'm sorry, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. I just didn't know how to handle this. I understand, but we need to communicate better, Emma said, her voice steady now. I don't want you to feel this way, and I don't want to keep secrets from you. But you need to trust me. I do trust you, I replied, the sincerity of my words washing over me. I just let my fears cloud my judgment. She stepped closer, wrapping her arms around me in a comforting embrace. We'll figure it out together, okay? I promise to be more open about things. Just give me the chance. As I held her, I felt the tension begin to dissipate, replaced by a fragile sense of understanding. I knew that rebuilding trust wouldn't happen overnight, but at least we were on the same page now. I love you, I whispered, feeling the weight of my worries begin to lift. I love you too, she replied, her voice warm and reassuring. But even as we held each other, a small voice in the back of my mind whispered doubts that refused to fade away. Could I truly put my insecurities aside, or would they continue to haunt me as I navigated the complexities of trust in our relationship? Chapter 4, Shattered Illusions. The days following Emma's return felt like a delicate dance. We both tried to mend the frayed edges of our communication, but an underlying tension still lingered in the air. I wanted to believe her, to trust that everything was as she said, but the seeds of doubt had been planted, and they refused to wither away. Emma seemed to be making an effort, sending me texts throughout the day, sharing small updates about work and her colleagues. Yet, every ping of my phone brought a flutter of anxiety. Was she being genuine, or was she merely trying to placate me? One evening, as we sat on the couch together, I felt the need to dig deeper. Can you tell me more about that guy in the pictures? I asked hesitantly, trying to keep my tone neutral. Why do you want to know? She replied, her brow furrowing. I want to understand who you spent time with. I need to know that there's nothing between you two. Emma sighed, her expression growing weary. His name is Ryan. He's just a colleague, someone I've met at conferences before. We had some drinks, and that's it? There's nothing romantic about it? Did he flirt with you? I pressed, my voice a whisper, as if I feared the answer. No. He's not my type at all, she said firmly. Honestly, we talked more about work than anything else. I thought you trusted me. I do trust you, but, I trailed off, the frustration of not being able to articulate my feelings crashing over me like a wave. But I can't help but feel threatened. I can see that, she said softly, her eyes searching mine. But I need you to believe that I'm committed to us. Nothing happened, I swear. Her sincerity was palpable, yet I still felt a nagging itch in the back of my mind. Each time she spoke of her colleagues, I felt the shadows of doubt creeping back. What if she was just good at hiding her true feelings? I didn't want to interrogate her every time she mentioned work, but the idea of her being close with someone else gnawed at me. As the week wore on, I found myself scrolling through social media more often, looking for any updates about Emma's colleagues. I even checked Ryan's profile, hoping to glean some insight into his relationship with Emma. His photos showed a guy who was friendly and outgoing, always surrounded by people, and in many shots, he had that charming, roguish smile that made my blood boil. I shook my head, frustrated with myself. Why was I doing this? I knew it wasn't healthy, but the curiosity was consuming me. Late one night, while Emma was in the shower, I sat on the couch, scrolling through Ryan's profile again. The more I looked, the more irrational my feelings grew. I felt like I was spiraling into a pit of jealousy I couldn't escape. Then I stumbled upon a post that made my heart race, a photo of Ryan with his arm around Emma, her laughter bright and carefree. The caption read, "Couldn't have asked for a better conference buddy. #work trip #no friends." My stomach churned, and I felt a wave of nausea wash over me. I knew I shouldn't feel this way, I knew it was irrational. But that image solidified all my fears into a single, undeniable truth. It was time to confront my insecurities again. When Emma emerged from the bathroom, her hair damp and her eyes bright, I turned to face her, my heart racing. "We need to talk," I said, my voice low and serious. "About what?" she asked, her expression shifting to concern. "About Ryan. I saw that post, and I can't shake this feeling. I feel like there's something more going on than you're admitting," I said, the urgency in my voice causing her to frown. "Alex, I promise you, there's nothing between us," she said, frustration lacing her words. "We're just colleagues. This is getting ridiculous. I get that you're trying to reassure me, but the more you say that, the less I believe it," I admitted, feeling the heat rise in my cheeks. "I don't want to feel this way, but every time I see a photo or hear about him, it just amplifies my worries." She stepped closer, her expression softening. "I don't want you to feel insecure about us, but you have to let this go. You can't let one guy make you question our entire relationship," she said gently. "But it's not just one guy," I insisted. "It's the way you've been acting since you got back. I feel like you're hiding something, and I need to know what it is. I can't be in this relationship if I'm constantly worried that you're not being honest." "I'm not hiding anything," she snapped, frustration bubbling over. "You're putting me in a position where I feel like I have to prove my loyalty to you, and that's not fair." "Then what am I supposed to do?" I asked, feeling the tears prick my eyes. "I'm trying to be honest about my feelings, but I feel like I'm losing you." Emma's expression softened again, and she stepped back, looking contemplative. "I don't want to lose you either, but we can't go on like this. It's tearing us apart. I don't want to fight, but I need reassurance," I said, my voice cracking. She sighed, running a hand through her hair in frustration. I'll talk to Ryan, and I'll make it clear that I'm committed to you. But I need you to work on trusting me, she replied, her voice earnest. Can you do that? I nodded slowly, a wave of gratitude mixed with lingering doubt crashing over me. I'll try, I said softly, though I knew it wouldn't be easy. As the days passed, Emma did her best to include me in her world, sharing more about her job and her co-workers. She even brought home some company swag t-shirts, pens, and notebooks emblazoned with their logo. But the more she tried to bridge the gap, the more I felt the chasm growing. It was as if the universe was conspiring against us. Every time I tried to relax, a new trigger would arise: a text message, an innocuous mention of Ryan, or another social media post that sent my mind spiraling. One night, as I lay in bed beside her, I felt the weight of my insecurities pressing down, and I couldn't hold it in any longer. Emma, do you think we should take a break? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. What? She turned to me, shock etched across her face. Why would you say that? Maybe we just need some space to figure things out, I said, feeling the tears prick my eyes again. Alex, I don't want to take a break. I want to work through this together, she replied, her voice firm. Then why does it feel like we're drifting further apart? I countered, my voice shaking with emotion. I don't know, she said, her voice trembling. But I don't want to give up on us. The tears I had been holding back fell freely now, and Emma wrapped her arms around me, holding me tightly. I felt the warmth of her body against mine, but a heavy ache remained in my chest. I just don't know how to move past this, I admitted, the weight of my insecurities flooding over me like a tidal wave. Then let's figure it out together, she whispered, her breath warm against my skin. I'm not going anywhere. But even as she reassured me, I couldn't shake the feeling that the foundation of our relationship had been shaken, and the road ahead would be fraught with challenges. Would we be able to mend the rift, or were we already standing on the precipice of something that could change us forever? As I drifted into a restless sleep, I knew one thing for sure: I had to confront my demons head on, or risk losing everything I had ever wanted. Chapter 5, Cracks in the Foundation. The following weeks felt like a slow march through a foggy valley, where clarity remained just out of reach. Emma and I had both committed to making our relationship work, but every effort felt like we were laying bricks on a foundation that had begun to crack. Emma kept her word about being more transparent, sharing details about her work and her interactions with Ryan. But the more she tried to fill the gaps in my understanding, the more I felt the weight of my insecurities pushing down on me. I was hyper-aware of every laugh she shared with her co-workers, every late-night work email she received. My mind began crafting scenarios where she and Ryan were sharing more than just professional camaraderie. One Friday evening, as we settled into our couch for a movie night, Emma brought up a team-building event planned for the following week. They're having a retreat at a cabin in the mountains, she said, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. I think it'll be a great opportunity for me to bond with the team. That sounds fun, I replied, forcing a smile. But inside, a storm was brewing. Is Ryan going? Yes, he is, she said, her tone light. My stomach dropped. And how long will you be gone? Just a couple of days, she replied, oblivious to the tension building in my chest. It's just work-related, Alex. I promise I'll keep you updated. But all I could think about was the prospect of Emma being away with Ryan, sharing the intimate atmosphere of a cabin, the laughter echoing off the walls, the sense of camaraderie that could easily blur the lines of friendship. Do you think it's really necessary to go? I blurted, unable to mask the edge in my voice. Of course it is. It's part of my job, she said, her brow furrowing in confusion. You can't expect me to miss out on opportunities for professional development just because you're feeling insecure. I'm not trying to hold you back, Emma. I just don't like the idea of you spending time with him outside of work, I replied, my heart racing. Alex, you're doing it again. You're letting your jealousy dictate your feelings, she said, exasperation creeping into her tone. It's just a team event. You need to trust me. I nodded, but the gnawing anxiety in my chest refused to dissipate. I'm trying, I really am. But it's hard when I feel like I don't know everything. The days leading up to the retreat passed in a blur. Each morning, I woke with a heavy heart, knowing that Emma would be away with Ryan and the rest of her team. I couldn't shake the feeling that she would have a great time without me, that I'd be left out in the cold, while they bonded over shared experiences I could only imagine. On the morning of her departure, I watched as Emma packed her bags, her excitement palpable. I'll miss you, she said, turning to me with a beaming smile. Yeah, I'll miss you too, I said, forcing a grin. But inside, I felt like I was about to drown in my fears. Just text me, okay? I'll keep you updated throughout the weekend, she promised, leaning in to kiss me before heading out the door. The moment she left, a wave of loneliness washed over me. I found myself pacing around the apartment, feeling like a caged animal. The clock ticked loudly, each second a reminder of the time slipping away while she was away. That night, I tried to distract myself by binge-watching a show, but my mind drifted back to Emma and Ryan. What were they doing? Were they laughing together, sharing stories, enjoying the mountain air? I picked up my phone, hesitating as I contemplated texting her. But I didn't want to seem needy or clingy, so I put it back down, convincing myself that she needed space to enjoy her time away. As the night wore on, I found myself spiraling deeper into jealousy. I logged onto social media, searching for updates from the retreat. I scrolled through posts of the cabin, beautiful scenery, and smiling faces. Each photo added fuel to the fire of my insecurity. I even spotted a group shot of Emma, Ryan, and a few other colleagues, everyone looking cheerful and carefree. It took everything in me not to throw my phone across the room. I couldn't believe I was torturing myself this way, but I felt powerless to stop. The next day, I woke up to a message from Emma. Hey. Having a great time. Just finished a team hike. Wish you were here. The words felt like a dagger to my heart. I knew she meant well, but the picture she painted of a thrilling adventure only heightened my feelings of isolation. Glad you're having fun. Are you and Ryan getting along? I sent back, my heart pounding. Of course. He's a great guy, but it's all just work stuff. You don't have to worry, okay, she replied, the reassurance falling flat against my gnawing doubts. I found myself spiraling again, pacing the apartment as I reread her messages. I knew I had to trust her, but every reassuring word felt like a promise tainted by the specter of my jealousy. I needed clarity, but every moment I spent alone only amplified my insecurities. By the time the retreat was wrapping up, I felt completely overwhelmed. I decided to go out for a walk, hoping that fresh air would help clear my mind. As I strolled through the neighborhood, I spotted a coffee shop and decided to step in. While I waited in line, I pulled out my phone to check for any updates. I scrolled through my feed, hoping to see something from Emma, but all I found were pictures of their group, all smiles, all seemingly having the time of their lives. Suddenly, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Emma, we're having a bonfire tonight. Wish you were here to roast marshmallows with us. A knot twisted in my stomach. I couldn't take it anymore. I needed to hear her voice. Can we FaceTime? I replied quickly. Moments later, my phone rang, and I picked up, feeling a rush of anxiety. Emma's face appeared on the screen, her smile radiant. Hey. You look like you're having a rough day. I'm fine, I said, but I could hear the tremor in my voice. Are you sure? You seem off, she said, her concern evident. I hesitated, feeling the weight of my thoughts pressing down on me. I just can't shake this feeling. It's hard to enjoy my day when I know you're out there having fun without me. It's not fun without you. I miss you, she insisted. You need to trust me, Alex. I would never do anything to hurt you. I know you say that, but every time I see those pictures, I just think about how easy it would be for you to connect with someone else, I admitted, my voice breaking. Alex, that's not fair. I'm trying my best to show you I'm committed to us, she said, frustration creeping back into her tone. I know. But it's like I'm constantly battling this voice in my head, telling me I'm not enough, I confessed, tears threatening to spill. Please don't think that way. You are more than enough for me. You have to believe that, she replied, her voice softening. I want to believe it, but it's hard, I admitted, feeling the walls close in around me. I get it, but let's not let these feelings tear us apart. I love you, and I want us to work through this together, she said, her sincerity piercing through my haze of insecurity. As the fire crackled in the background of the bonfire, I felt the warmth of her words wrapping around me. I love you too, Emma, I said, the honesty in my heart outweighing my fears, if only for a moment. But as we ended the call and I returned home, the shadows of my jealousy loomed larger than ever. I had to confront my demons, but every step forward felt like an uphill battle against an unrelenting tide. Would I ever be able to fully trust Emma again, or was I destined to be haunted by my insecurities? Chapter 6, The Turning Point. The next few days dragged on like a slow march through molasses. Emma returned from the retreat, but the enthusiasm she exuded felt like a foreign object in our home. It seemed she had left behind some of her laughter and lightness, and all I could do was cling to my doubts like a lifeline. When she walked through the door, the warmth of her presence washed over me, but I could feel a distance between us. I tried to mask my anxieties, but each smile she offered felt like a fragile facade, one that could shatter with a single wrong word. How was the retreat? I asked, trying to sound casual as we settled onto the couch. Did you have a lot of fun? It was amazing. The team really bonded, she replied, her eyes sparkling. We did a ton of activities and got to know each other better. I wish you could have joined us. I nodded, forcing a smile as I felt a pang of jealousy creep back in. I saw the bonfire pictures. You looked really happy. Yeah, we all had a great time. But I missed you, she said, her voice earnest. It wasn't the same without you. My heart softened at her words, but the apprehension still lurked in the corners of my mind. Did you and Ryan hang out a lot? I asked, the question slipping out before I could stop myself. Alex, she started, her brow furrowing. We spent time as a group, but it wasn't anything special. We all just had fun together. I thought we were past this. I know. I just can't help but feel like I'm losing you, I said, the words tumbling out, laden with emotion. You seem so much closer to your team now. She reached for my hand, squeezing it tightly. You're not losing me. I promise. I need you to trust me. I want to, I replied, my voice wavering. But it feels impossible sometimes. I want to be confident in us, but I keep replaying scenarios in my head. Tell me what you're thinking, she urged, her eyes searching mine for the truth. I hesitated but finally said, I can't shake the thought that you could find someone better, someone more exciting. Her expression shifted, a blend of sadness and frustration. I can't believe you think that way. Alex, I chose you. I'm here with you because I love you. You're the one I want, not anyone else. As her words sank in, I felt a glimmer of hope. I know. I know you love me, but the insecurities keep creeping in. I'm trying to work on it, I confessed. Then let's work on it together, she said, her voice gentle but firm. We need to have open conversations, even if they're hard. I want to help you through this. Okay, I said, feeling a mix of relief and trepidation. But I need you to be patient with me. This is all so new, and I'm still learning to let go of my fears. Of course, she said, a smile breaking through. We'll figure it out, one step at a time. Over the next few weeks, we made a concerted effort to communicate more openly. Emma would text me during the day, sharing snippets of her work life, and I began to reciprocate with details about my own. Each small gesture felt like a brick being laid on our shaky foundation. Yet, there were still moments where the shadows of doubt would creep in, particularly when Emma mentioned Ryan. It felt like the mention of his name ignited a tiny spark of jealousy that I struggled to extinguish. One night, we attended a friend's birthday party, and I noticed Emma laughing and chatting animatedly with some of her colleagues, Ryan included. As I stood off to the side, I could feel the unease bubbling within me. I wanted to join them, but instead, I remained rooted to the spot, watching as they shared stories and laughter. "Hey, you okay?" my friend Mike asked, sidling up beside me. "Yeah, just enjoying the view," I replied, forcing a smile. "Looks like Emma's having a good time," he said, glancing over at her. "You should go join her." "I don't know," I mumbled, my gaze fixed on the group. "What if she's enjoying his company too much?" "Dude, that's toxic thinking. You need to trust her. If she wanted to be with him, she wouldn't be with you," Mike said, his tone serious. "I know, but it's hard," I admitted, my voice barely above a whisper. "Relationships take work, man. You can't let your insecurities dictate your happiness. You either trust her or you don't," he said, clapping a hand on my shoulder. His words struck a chord deep within me. I realized that my fears were my own to manage, and I needed to take control. Taking a deep breath, I decided to confront the source of my unease. I walked over to Emma, who was mid-laugh with Ryan. She turned to me, her smile fading slightly as I approached. "Hey. Join us. Can we talk for a second?" I asked, my voice steady, though my heart raced. "Sure," she replied, stepping away from the group. "Can we go outside?" I suggested, needing a moment away from prying eyes. Once outside, I took a deep breath, gathering my thoughts. I've been thinking a lot about everything, and I realized that I need to be more honest about my feelings. Emma's eyes widened, her expression attentive. "Okay, what's on your mind?" "I want to trust you, but sometimes I feel overwhelmed by jealousy. I don't want to feel this way, and I don't want it to come between us," I confessed, my heart pounding. "I appreciate you being honest," she said, her tone gentle. "You don't have to carry that weight alone. I'm here for you. I know I need to do better. I don't want to ruin what we have. I'm trying to push past my insecurities, but I need your support too," I admitted, vulnerability flooding my voice. "Of course. Just remember, I'm here for you, and I want you to feel secure with us," she said, reaching for my hand. "Let's keep communicating, and if you ever feel uneasy, tell me. I don't want to hide anything from you." "Thank you," I said, the heaviness in my chest lifting slightly. "I'll try to do better." We rejoined the party, and I felt a sense of relief wash over me. I was still learning, but each step we took together felt like progress. Emma and I continued to navigate the ups and downs, gradually finding our rhythm. But as the weeks turned into months, the echoes of my insecurities never completely faded. Each time Emma mentioned Ryan or shared a work story, I felt that familiar tug of anxiety. I was beginning to understand that trust wasn't a one-time decision, it was a daily commitment. One evening, as we sat together on the couch, I finally broached the subject that had been weighing on my mind. "Can we talk about Ryan again?" Emma looked at me, a mixture of understanding and concern in her eyes. Of course. What's bothering you? I've been doing better with my feelings, but every time I hear about him, it brings up those insecurities again, I confessed, my voice trembling slightly. Okay, she said gently. But you know I'm committed to you, right? You're the one I love. I know, but sometimes it feels like I'm competing with a ghost, I said, frustration creeping into my voice. I don't want to feel this way. I want to be confident in us. Emma leaned closer, her eyes sincere. You're not competing with anyone. I chose you, and I choose you every day. It's okay to feel insecure sometimes, but I need you to trust that I'm not going anywhere. I'll try, I said, taking a deep breath. I just want to find a way to ease this anxiety. Let's make a pact, she suggested, her tone lightening. Whenever I mention Ryan, you can tell me how you feel. I won't be offended. We can work through it together. I nodded, feeling a flicker of hope ignite in my chest. That sounds fair. As we continued our conversation, I realized that confronting my fears was a process, and having Emma by my side made all the difference. While the shadows of my jealousy still lurked in the corners, I felt stronger in our commitment to each other. We were navigating uncharted waters, but with each step forward, I was learning that love required both vulnerability and trust. And slowly, I was beginning to believe that maybe, just maybe, we could weather any storm together. Chapter 7, A Test of Trust. The air grew warmer as spring settled in, bringing a fresh sense of hope. With each passing day, I felt the bond between Emma and me strengthen. We had developed a rhythm in our communication, and while I still wrestled with jealousy from time to time, it felt more manageable, like a pesky fly I could swat away rather than a relentless storm cloud. One Saturday, Emma suggested we spend the day outdoors, exploring a nearby hiking trail. I readily agreed, eager for a chance to reconnect with nature and with her. As we hiked, the sun filtered through the leaves, casting a beautiful dappled light around us. The scenery felt like a balm for my anxious mind. This is perfect, Emma said, taking a deep breath of the fresh mountain air. Just what we needed. I agree, I replied, smiling at her. It's nice to get away from everything for a while. We walked in comfortable silence for a while, soaking in the tranquility of our surroundings. But eventually, we reached a clearing with a stunning view of the valley below. We stopped, taking it all in, and Emma pulled out her phone to snap a picture. Let's get a selfie, she said, holding her phone at arm's length. As we posed together, a shadow crossed my mind. I couldn't help but remember our last hike when she had taken a similar selfie with her team. The memory stirred that familiar jealousy, but I fought to push it away. This was our moment, not theirs. Ready, she said, flashing her brightest smile. Ready, I replied, forcing my own smile as she snapped the picture. But afterward, I felt the urge to pull away, to avoid letting her see the struggle brewing inside me. Can we sit for a minute? I asked, motioning to a nearby rock. Of course, she replied, following me to the spot. As we sat, I tried to clear my mind, but the image of her with Ryan popped back into my head. I took a deep breath, trying to shake it off. I've been thinking about how much I appreciate you working through my jealousy with me. I'm glad, she said, resting her head on my shoulder. I want you to feel secure with me. You mean the world to me. I know, I said, the warmth of her affection washing over me. It's just hard sometimes, especially when I feel like I'm not enough. She turned to look at me, concern etched across her features. You are more than enough, Alex. Remember that. We're a team, and I chose you. I know you did, I said, feeling the knot in my stomach start to loosen. It's just, sometimes it's tough to shake the feeling of inadequacy. I get it. But just know that I'm here for you, and I'll never choose anyone else over you," she said, her voice earnest. In that moment, I felt a flicker of reassurance. It was a reminder that I wasn't alone in this struggle, we were both in it together. As we made our way back down the trail, we talked about everything and nothing. Laughter flowed freely, and for a moment, I felt like the shadows of jealousy were merely a distant memory. But as the sun dipped below the horizon and the sky began to darken, I received a message from Emma's colleague. It was a group chat with pictures from the hiking trip they'd taken to a different location the previous week. In the images, Emma was smiling widely, Ryan by her side in several of the photos. My heart dropped. Despite everything we had discussed, that familiar wave of jealousy crashed over me, knocking the breath from my lungs. I tried to shake it off, to focus on the fun we had shared earlier, but it felt like I was fighting against a tidal wave. "Hey, what's wrong?" Emma asked, noticing my sudden change in demeanor as we arrived home. "I just got a message from your group," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "I saw the pictures from your hike." "Alex," she said, her tone softening as she reached for my hand. "I told you that was just a group outing. You know it was nothing serious." "I know, but I can't help but feel like I'm competing with those moments," I admitted, my heart racing. "You look so happy, and it just makes me question if I can make you that happy." "You are making me happy," she insisted, her eyes wide with concern. "You can't keep doing this to yourself. Look at what we have. It's real." "I want to believe that," I said, the frustration bubbling up. "But every time I see you with him, it pulls at my heartstrings." Emma took a deep breath, steadying herself. "I get that it's hard, but you need to trust me. If I didn't want to be with you, I wouldn't be here. You know that, right?" "I know," I said, rubbing my temples. "But it's exhausting to feel this way. I want to be supportive, but it's like this invisible wall keeps coming up." "Then let's break it down together," she said, her tone resolute. "How about we set some boundaries? I can limit how much I share about work if that helps. I don't want to make you feel uncomfortable. Would that be fair to you?" I asked, hesitating. "I don't want to control your relationships or your life." "It's not about control. It's about communication," she replied, her voice calm. "I want you to feel safe with me, and if that means adjusting how I talk about work, then I'm more than willing to do that." As her words settled in, I felt a rush of gratitude. "Thank you. I appreciate that. Let's make this work," she said, her eyes sparkling with determination. "We can figure it out together, and I'll always be here to listen." That night, we sat on the couch and talked late into the evening, exploring our feelings and fears more deeply. Each conversation felt like a step forward, a layer peeled back. I was beginning to understand that trust was built not only through reassurance but also through vulnerability and open dialogue. The following week, Emma and I made a pact: I would share my feelings as they arose, and she would keep me informed about her work life without delving into unnecessary details. It was a compromise, one that we both felt was fair. Over the next few weeks, things began to feel more stable. Emma continued to share her work life with me, but without the intimate details that had previously stoked my insecurities. I was grateful for her willingness to accommodate my feelings, and as a result, I felt the dark cloud of jealousy slowly lift. However, life has a way of throwing unexpected challenges our way. One evening, Emma received a phone call from her boss, which she took in the other room. I could only hear snippets of the conversation, but the tone felt urgent. When she returned, her expression was different, serious, almost distant. "I have to go into the office tomorrow," she said, running a hand through her hair. "There's a big project coming up, and they need me to be there early." I nodded, but a knot formed in my stomach. "How long will you be gone?" Just a day. I'll be back in the evening, she replied, trying to sound casual. But something in her voice sent a ripple of unease through me. Is Ryan going to be there? Yeah, he will. But it's just work, Alex, she said, her expression softening. You know I'll be focused on the project. I promise. I trust you, I said, but as I spoke the words, I felt that familiar anxiety creeping back in. The next morning, I watched her get ready, the sun streaming through the window. She looked beautiful and determined, and I felt a surge of admiration. But as she headed out the door, the knot in my stomach tightened. Have a great day, I said, forcing a smile. Love you, she called, her voice cheerful as she disappeared down the hall. But the moment she left, the weight of my worries settled heavily on my shoulders. I tried to distract myself throughout the day, but each passing hour felt like an eternity. I picked up my phone multiple times, resisting the urge to check in on her or, worse, to see if Ryan was nearby. As the day wore on, my mind began to spin stories of their interactions, laughing over coffee, sharing insights in a conference room, and all those moments I'd imagined but never witnessed. Finally, I couldn't take it any longer. I shot her a text, "How's your day going?" Almost instantly, she replied, "Busy. Just getting ready for a meeting with the team. I'll text you later." I felt a flicker of relief, but it was short-lived. Hours dragged by, and I was left with my racing thoughts. I needed to know that everything was okay, so I texted again, trying to appear nonchalant, "Hope the meeting goes well." "Thanks. I'll keep you updated," she responded, but I could sense the distance in her replies. That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, I received a message from Emma, "Hey, running a little late. Wrapping up some final details with the team." Panic flooded my system. "Okay," I typed back, but my heart raced. The longer she was gone, the more my insecurities surged. Another hour passed, and I could #Chapter 7, a test of trust. The air grew warmer as spring settled in, bringing a fresh sense of hope. With each passing day, I felt the bond between Emma and me strengthen. We had developed a rhythm in our communication, and while I still wrestled with jealousy from time to time, it felt more manageable, like a pesky fly I could swat away rather than a relentless storm cloud. One Saturday, Emma suggested we spend the day outdoors, exploring a nearby hiking trail. I readily agreed, eager for a chance to reconnect with nature and with her. As we hiked, the sun filtered through the leaves, casting a beautiful dappled light around us. The scenery felt like a balm for my anxious mind. "This is perfect," Emma said, taking a deep breath of the fresh mountain air. "Just what we needed." "I agree," I replied, smiling at her. "It's nice to get away from everything for a while." We walked in comfortable silence for a while, soaking in the tranquility of our surroundings. But eventually, we reached a clearing with a stunning view of the valley below. We stopped, taking it all in, and Emma pulled out her phone to snap a picture. "Let's get a selfie," she said, holding her phone at arm's length. As we posed together, a shadow crossed my mind. I couldn't help but remember our last hike when she had taken a similar selfie with her team. The memory stirred that familiar jealousy, but I fought to push it away. This was our moment, not theirs. "Ready," she said, flashing her brightest smile. "Ready," I replied, forcing my own smile as she snapped the picture. But afterward, I felt the urge to pull away, to avoid letting her see the struggle brewing inside me. "Can we sit for a minute?" I asked, motioning to a nearby rock. "Of course," she replied, following me to the spot. As we sat, I tried to clear my mind, but the image of her with Ryan popped back into my head. I took a deep breath, trying to shake it off. "I've been thinking about how much I appreciate you working through my jealousy with me." "I'm glad," she said, resting her head on my shoulder. "I want you to feel secure with me. You mean the world to me." "I know," I said, the warmth of her affection washing over me. "It's just hard sometimes, especially when I feel like I'm not enough." She turned to look at me, concern etched across her features. "You are more than enough, Alex. Remember that. We're a team, and I chose you." "I know you did," I said, feeling the knot in my stomach start to loosen. "It's just, sometimes it's tough to shake the feeling of inadequacy." "I get it. But just know that I'm here for you, and I'll never choose anyone else over you," she said, her voice earnest. In that moment, I felt a flicker of reassurance. It was a reminder that I wasn't alone in this struggle, we were both in it together. As we made our way back down the trail, we talked about everything and nothing. Laughter flowed freely, and for a moment, I felt like the shadows of jealousy were merely a distant memory. But as the sun dipped below the horizon and the sky began to darken, I received a message from Emma's colleague. It was a group chat with pictures from the hiking trip they'd taken to a different location the previous week. In the images, Emma was smiling widely, Ryan by her side in several of the photos. My heart dropped. Despite everything we had discussed, that familiar wave of jealousy crashed over me, knocking the breath from my lungs. I tried to shake it off, to focus on the fun we had shared earlier, but it felt like I was fighting against a tidal wave. "Hey, what's wrong?" Emma asked, noticing my sudden change in demeanor as we arrived home. "I just got a message from your group," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "I saw the pictures from your hike." "Alex," she said, her tone softening as she reached for my hand. "I told you that was just a group outing. You know it was nothing serious." "I know, but I can't help but feel like I'm competing with those moments," I admitted, my heart racing. "You look so happy, and it just makes me question if I can make you that happy." "You are making me happy," she insisted, her eyes wide with concern. "You can't keep doing this to yourself. Look at what we have. It's real." "I want to believe that," I said, the frustration bubbling up. "But every time I see you with him, it pulls at my heartstrings." Emma took a deep breath, steadying herself. "I get that it's hard, but you need to trust me. If I didn't want to be with you, I wouldn't be here. You know that, right?" "I know," I said, rubbing my temples. "But it's exhausting to feel this way. I want to be supportive, but it's like this invisible wall keeps coming up." "Then let's break it down together," she said, her tone resolute. "How about we set some boundaries? I can limit how much I share about work if that helps. I don't want to make you feel uncomfortable. Would that be fair to you?" I asked, hesitating. "I don't want to control your relationships or your life." "It's not about control. It's about communication," she replied, her voice calm. "I want you to feel safe with me, and if that means adjusting how I talk about work, then I'm more than willing to do that." As her words settled in, I felt a rush of gratitude. "Thank you. I appreciate that. Let's make this work," she said, her eyes sparkling with determination. "We can figure it out together, and I'll always be here to listen." That night, we sat on the couch and talked late into the evening, exploring our feelings and fears more deeply. Each conversation felt like a step forward, a layer peeled back. I was beginning to understand that trust was built not only through reassurance but also through vulnerability and open dialogue. The following week, Emma and I made a pact: I would share my feelings as they arose, and she would keep me informed about her work life without delving into unnecessary details. It was a compromise, one that we both felt was fair. Over the next few weeks, things began to feel more stable. Emma continued to share her work life with me, but without the intimate details that had previously stoked my insecurities. I was grateful for her willingness to accommodate my feelings, and as a result, I felt the dark cloud of jealousy slowly lift. However, life has a way of throwing unexpected challenges our way. One evening, Emma received a phone call from her boss, which she took in the other room. I could only hear snippets of the conversation, but the tone felt urgent. When she returned, her expression was different, serious, almost distant. "I have to go into the office tomorrow," she said, running a hand through her hair. "There's a big project coming up, and they need me to be there early." I nodded, but a knot formed in my stomach. "How long will you be gone?" "Just a day. I'll be back in the evening," she replied, trying to sound casual. But something in her voice sent a ripple of unease through me. "Is Ryan going to be there?" "Yeah, he will.